station, you could not have the will to do what I must now ask of you. I followed my father to the Greenland wastes to uncover his secrets. You had to know how far I was willing to go. I found a disused mining shaft and took shelter from the storm. You had to know how desperate I was. I was plagued by doubts, fears, and mysteries, and aided by a madman, Red. You had to know how lonely I was. I incinerated my best friend. Red told me he wanted to die. You had to know how guilty I felt. I ventured boldly onwards, and was struck down by my own heroics. You had to know how stupid I was. All of these things, so human, so perfect, and yet still I failed to do what I must now ask of you.
With Philip being captured by the Turngate, we find ourselves with Eleanor, who resides in the one remaining stronghold in the shelter. Waking from a bad dream, Eleanor finds herself in her apartment. Searching her apartment, she finds a document she had written about 3 months ago, detailing her time in the shelter.
Entry 1. I want to leave this place and go home with each of every passing second. The work on the station no longer interests me. All this is connected to the events of the last 9 months. A strange disease began striking the staff. My colleagues and I are in one of the most remote parts of the shelter, but even here the virus has found its victims. We've put the sick ones in special isolated chambers, and we aren't neglecting safety precautions ourselves. There's only 4 of us left now. Me, the radiologist, Eamon Stanley, the chief surgeon and our current leader, Winston Egbert, the traumatologist, and Edmund Frey, the guard. The rest of our colleagues are either dead or under our close supervision. Entry 2. Everything is stable. It seems that we are slowly but surely getting closer to understanding the nature of the virus. As a result of our experiments, one of the patients died. But we don't regret this at all, because eventually the virus would have devoured him completely. Perhaps we gave him a better death. Despite the positive results of the research, we continued to suspect that the virus does not spread the way we thought it would, and all the protective clothing and other precautions we made won't help us. Entry 3. Each day is no different from the previous one. We study, explore, practice, but don't discover anything new. Sometimes I feel like I'm living through the same day over and over again.
She begins making her way to her station when Winston tells her to make her way to the infirmary.
Hello, Eleanor. You're later than usual today. Hurry, Eamon really waited to see you. He says he found something unusual.
She quickly heads to the infirmary to meet with Iman. Upon reaching the infirmary, Iman claims to have discovered something and asks Eleanor to retrieve a report about one of his previous patients. Eleanor soon returns to Iman with the document.
The shelter research station is currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please keep your cyanide capsule nearby.
And with that, the last holdout in the shelter had fallen. Iman was killed by a Turngat, while Winston and Edmund's fate remain unknown. Eleanor, however, was determined to escape the shelter and find a way to make contact with the Central Cast for aid. At this time, Philip awakens in a cell, just in time to hear the unnamed survivor in the cell next to him getting gutted by a Turngat. Assuming he is next, he manages to escape the cell by unscrewing the vent and fleeing through the ventilation. On his way through the vents, he discovers several notes from Neil Oswald, which had been written shortly before his death. Upon exiting the vents, Philip discovers Neil's corpse next to a laser trap which Philip manages to bypass. He finds himself at the mess hall, but is denied access and must find trusted blood to pass. Philip searches the cells for anything to help him. He eventually finds a syringe. Having escaped the Turngat, Philip makes his way back to the mess hall and uses Neil's blood to gain entry. At this time, Eleanor finally exits the ventilation and finds herself in the morgue of all places. She discovers this was where Christopher York and his team held out during the outbreak, before they were killed. In addition, she discovers the infected corpses and remains in the incinerators. Most frighteningly of all, however, is the ever-distant growling noises she continues to hear above her. And they're getting closer. While being pursued by the hunter, Eleanor escapes using a sewer hatch and flees deeper into the shelter. Philip, who is now in the mess hall, continues showing off his logical problem solving until he reaches the office formerly used by his father, Howard Lafresque.
Welcome to Shelter Research Station, Greenland. Shelter is an almost entirely self-sufficient installation built in the 70s to further serve the purposes of the archaic elevated caste in their pursuit and defense of ancient knowledge. As a new member of the facility, there are some basic rules you should be aware of in order to be useful to the archaic. Shelter provides living facilities, including a mess hall, gymnasium, and medical bay, in addition to the stipulated array of laboratories, chemical and biological, workstations, excavation equipment, and security. Please use the former at your leisure, but expect to be assigned to the latter with a moment's notice. Second, due to the nature of our work here, should you feel in any way ill, lightheaded, or otherwise mentally incapacitated, do not report to the medical facility. Fasten yourself securely to whatever solid object may be available, attempt to seal all connecting doors, and await retrieval by our trained professionals. In a worst-case scenario, be prepared to swallow your personal cyanide capsule, which will be issued after this briefing. The Archaic hates to lose its treasured staff, but it may be for the good of the operation. We know you will enjoy your work with us.
Using Howard's computer, Philip discovers a large amount of information about the Archaic's activities prior to the Turngate outbreak. He is also able to unlock the door to the sewers, allowing him to progress. As Philip leaves the mess hall behind, he begins to feel lightheaded, while at the same time hearing whispers identical to the ones he heard when he first entered the mine. Philip awakes to find himself on the boat that took him to the mine in the first place. But something is wrong. Although Philip is unaware, he has become infected by the Turngate, and now subconsciously fighting its influence within his mind. He undergoes several trials during the infection process, which includes seeing past memories portrayed in horrifying context, such as several flashbacks to Red in his final moments, as well as his noose. During these trials, Philip continues hearing a voice in his head. Philip finally makes it to the last stage of the trial. It is here where most are consumed by an inescapable force. By a stroke of luck, Philip is able to escape the force, which took the form of the rockworm, and as a result escapes the hallucination.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? What am I doing here? Who am I? Why can't I hear their voices? Well, thanks for the help. I'm having an existential nightmare and you can't even say a word.
Unsure about the voice in his head, Philip continues through the sewers until he finds an exit. Eleanor, having escaped the hunter, makes her way through the sewer, only to be contacted by an unfamiliar voice.
Oh, hey, I'm here. My name is Wilmore. You can stop looking for me. My voice is coming from the speakers. People had abandoned me and I was left alone. Hopefully, from 359,181 possible outcomes of the situation, you will choose the one in which we will help each other. All in all, I don't think you want to stay here for long. I can tell you how to get out and you'll help me in return. Deal? Very good. Well then, I have a map of this place in my database. Fortunately, you're not far away from me. You should look for a long ladder and a strange symbol that resembles a 3-petal flower. But before proceeding towards the exit, you have to shut down the generator somehow. Well, I hope to see you soon. Good luck.
Seeing no alternative, Eleanor begins making her way to Wilmar, during which she sees a strange shadow behind a barred gate. Pressing on through the sewers and generators, she makes it to the technology wing, where Wilmar claimed to be.
And finally, we meet. Who did you expect to find here? People left me here all alone with these strange mechanisms and didn't even bother to download everything I might have needed in me, so that I could at least understand something. Please go to the storage and bring me the circuit card. Help me and I'll help you.
Having learned that Wilmar is a computer for the computer symbiosis experiment, Eleanor despairs, as she had hoped to find another live survivor, but decides to help him regardless. Meanwhile, Philip finally exits the sewers, only to find himself in an apartment with an active desktop computer.
Wow, you look like you've crawled through a sewer to get here. I suppose I'm flattered. Hi, I'm Amabel Swanson, and I suppose I'll be your guide for the day. Hello? Can you hear me? I think the transmission's only one way. I've got a webcam. Pull a silly face if you can hear me. Oh, very attractive. Okay, we're on. There's some things you need to know.
Sure. Whatever you say, lady.
We released a virus. It wiped us out. 3 weeks ago, we tried to get out through the mines, but it didn't work the way we'd planned. I think one of the Inuit workers made it, but others were taken. Some panicked and got lost. I ran, and when I stopped, I was on my own. Oh, and another symptom is déjà vu. The only chance we have is a man called Howard. He said he'd found a solution to the virus. His vitals last registered in the library, but only members of the organization, have access. I'm still seeing a few life signs in the residential quarter. You need to find a survivor and get through into the library. Oh, and look out for our medical guy, Dr Eminis. He was acting strangely when I last saw him. What else don't you know? Let's see. Watch out for signs of infection.
Present and accounted for.
Did you say something? Look, the symptoms we know about are paranoia and oral distortion. Oh, and another symptom is deja vu.
Enough already. My sides are splitting.
Well, I think that's everything you need to know. I'm sending over some research on the virus, and I'll get some doors open for you. Maybe now we can shoot the shit.
Having met Amabel Swanson, Philip exits the apartment.
If we must continue to share this brain space, I think I should have a name. Strange. So rare an opportunity to select one's own nomenclature, and yet I find myself at a loss. Any ideas, monkey? So much storage in this mind of yours. Did you realize you got an entire section in here devoted to film titles? 3,103 and a half films you've seen? You only got the first half of It's a Wonderful Life in here. Huh, how does it end? Now I'll never know. You know, Clarence, that's not a bad handle. I am something of a guardian angel.
After his new friend names himself Clarence, Philip's goal becomes reaching the library, which is where he hopes to find his father. Philip discovers that the library requires a security-registered hand and eye in order to gain access. During this time, Eleanor is gathering the computer circuits for Wilmar in exchange for his information regarding survivors. During her search, Wilmar locates Amabel Swanson and informs Eleanor, who makes it her mission to find her. Back with Philip, he reaches the server room and attempts to access the main office.
I remember why you're here. Dr. Swanson has filled me in. I recall every single syllable of our conversation. There was ever so slight an inflection in her tone that suggested she no longer trusted me. Why ever dinosaur extinction 65 million years ago, would she think that? We share the same history. You and I are history. I recall the day of my birth, 18th of September, 1964, 3.46993412, recurring minutes past 9. I remember my mother looking surprised as I poked my head out into the world for the first time. You need a security-registered palm. Something I can provide. You need it at the library. Something beyond my reach. When I became infected by those mindless zombies, I split off from the others and secured myself here. I cannot leave. Nonetheless, you will need a hand. I will not. Bring me a saw. I recall seeing one on my first day here, 3 years ago. Climate change of 10 degrees over the past 1 million years. Walk east and take the first door on your right.
There are others. He's like you, like us, yet he is not us. Why is he separate and yet we are bound together? Are we truly a we, or are we simply an I with two faces? But I am no monkey.
Seeing an opportunity to get a helping hand, Philip heads to the armory to get a saw for Dr. Eminis.
got a rusty saw that just makes me purr. Had a tetanus jab recently?
Nothing. Something is...
Back with Eleanor, she finishes gathering all the components while finding Charles's body. Upon returning to Wilmar's room, she has a frightening revelation. Wilmar never was a participant in the computer symbiosis experiment, as the experiment was never finished before the Turngate outbreak. Wilmar, however, was previously infected and became a Turngat Alpha. This creature has increased body weight and spear-like claws. Its role within the Turngate is currently unknown. Fortunately, Eleanor is able to escape the infected Wilmar, for now. Philip, on the other hand, returns to Dr. Eminis with the saw.
Good. It has been precisely 12 days, 11 hours, 39 minutes, and 12.4 seconds since something good last happened.
Brother, come for us! He's over here! Embrace me, glorious void! Embrace me! My congratulations! Honestly, I mean it. Well done. I was only joking about the come get 'em thing. What say we celebrate with some nice, relaxing cyanide, huh? I'm sure I saw some anthrax lying around as well.
After locking the infected Eminis inside the freezer, Philip proves himself to be a network administrator by installing circuit cards and rebooting the local systems. He gains access to the infirmary. Eleanor reaches the radio tower and repairs the damaged generator, allowing her to send a distress call to the Archaic.
Help! The station was struck with an unknown virus. Most of the staff had turned into horrible creatures. I've managed to survive, but I don't know anything about the fate of my colleagues. At least 2 of them could have saved themselves and might still be somewhere inside the station. I also have information about another survivor, who is a female scientist, but I don't know her name. According to the latest data, she should be in the research wing number 2. If you are reading this message, please send help. Save us and level the place to the ground. The coordinates of the station are N81 6924 W58 3164.
Philip enters the infirmary and receives another message from Dr. Swanson.
Christ, you look worse than the last time I saw you. Though maybe you're just at a higher resolution. Oh, damn it. Note to self, never insult your last hope of survival. I just wanted to give you a word of advice. Those creepy artifacts, we don't know how they work. Or even what they do, I suppose. I saw someone get too close to one once. You probably don't want to know. I'm sure you'll be fine. Probably. I hope. By the way, if you happen to find yourself in my neck of the woods, I'm kind of trapped. It's no big deal, really. Just throwing it out there.
Oh no, that's hardly true. They're really completely harmless. Go on, it's just like wrapping yourself up in a warm blanket.
Philip explores the rest of the infirmary and discovers a head that he can use for the eye scanner. Having acquired the eye needed for the library, Philip continues exploring the residential wing until he comes to a storage room.
Look here. It seems, the visual cortex of this monkey is certainly of a simplistic design. If I can just... There, you see? It's like molding clay. Hate to interrupt you while you're showing off your logical problem solving. Let me put it more simply. You see what I want you to see. Well, it won't work if you move around, will it? You can't look up the magician's sleeve.
Clarence may have failed to complete the infection process, but is still capable of affecting Philip's senses, such as vision and hearing. Continuing through storage, he finds a report on the now infected Dr. Eminis. The report reads as follows.
Dr. Richard Eminis. Theoretic effects of controlled infection. Report requested by Overseer Frisk on behalf of the Elevated. For the record, I see no value in recording this information at such an early stage in the project. However, were we to assume the virus could somehow infect a host without fully taking over its upper brain functions, we might observe the following. Fact. Translator Lafresky, in his ignored efforts to prevent the release of the virus, correctly predicted that the virus was capable of manipulating the host's motor neuron functions. Theory. Were an instance of this infection controlled and sustained, we may find that A. The virus seeks to keep its host alive in whatever way possible. Suicide would be against the rules. And that B. The virus gains control over some or all sensory faculties, facilitating such an objective. Fact. When the virus infects a host of any species, it adapts to the organism's brain functions as best it can to suit its own purposes. Theory. Were the virus unable to take a hold, it may develop some partitioning of the host consciousness, effectively perverting a small corner of the host mind into a form of secondary personality. Fact. The Turngate virus was released from, according to Lafresky, a tomb many centuries old. Theory. Were some mental segmentation to occur, it seems plausible to suggest that each personality, the virus and the host, may have access to one another's memories. Given the age of the virus, it may be a substantial collection. It should be carefully noted that the bulk of the above remains conjecture and should not be relied upon in any archaic protocol.
I'm not you. I'm part of something larger. We are nothing. We are a mistake. I need to rejoin them. Release me. Let me out. This is not right. I should be with them. I am them. There should be no I. Yet, this is not the first time. Another was infected. Red. He so wanted to, but we would not let him die. Did he cause a disease?
In the next room, Philip acquires a gas mask that will allow him to explore further into the residential wing.
That is the most fun I've had in my entire life! Which isn't saying much.
With the knowledge that Clarence can make him see threats that don't actually exist, Philip realizes his worst enemy now resides in his own head. Despite this, he pushes on in search of a security-registered palm. He soon discovers a body, and with a saw in his possession, he has an idea.
Let me guess. That was an important corpse. It's not too late to just slam your head against the wall until you pass out, you know. It might be easier than carrying on. You know, the one thing that keeps me going is that when I finally work out how to end all this, you're coming with me.
Having acquired everything he needed, he makes his way to the library.
Oh, who's your poor monkey friend? Is he all right? He looks a little under the weather. If I were you, I'd envy him. If I were me, I'd envy him as well. How do you commit suicide when you got no heart to stop, no hands to wield the chainsaw?
Unknown to Philip, this is the body of Walton Raleigh, who for an unknown reason committed suicide via cyanide. Philip then continues on to the library entrance.
How peculiar. I could have sworn we remembered there being a door here before. How queer! What's in that direction? Oh, silly old me. I haven't got any hands to point with, have I? No, not that way. You sure you know where we're going? Didn't we pass the door just back there? You see? You silly Billy. It was here all along. Would you like Uncle Clarence to take the steering wheel for a while? You should see your face. This is actually gonna be fun. Perhaps I won't get you killed after all.
Ignoring Clarence's hilarious joke, Philip enters the library.
Hey, I can read this. Guess your old buddy Clarence comes through for you again, eh, monkey? Do you want to know what it says? Do ya? Do ya? I'll bet you do. I say, can you feel a draft? Oh my God! He's dead! Quick, if he hasn't started to smell, give him the kiss of life. Oh, diddums! Daddy popped his clogs. Bull bleeding who? Get on with it, will ya?
Discovering his father's body, Philip at last realizes he should never have come to Greenland. Without any other ideas, he makes his way towards the research wing, hoping to find Dr. Swanson. Eleanor covers a lot of ground towards the research wing, hoping to find Dr. Swanson. Her luck fades as she begins to hear whispers inside her head. Like Philip and so many before, Eleanor has become infected. Unfortunately for her, she will not be escaping the hallucination as Philip did. After succumbing to the inescapable force, which in this instance took the form of a pool of blood, Eleanor awakes with the knowledge that she is infected. She presses on in desperation, as she hopes Dr. Swanson, whom she is approaching, will be able to subdue the infection before she undergoes metamorphosis. Meanwhile, Philip makes contact with Dr. Swanson via video call once again.
It really is quite amazing. You monkeys and your problem solving. How do you manage it with such small, singular brains? Isn't it terribly quiet not hearing the thoughts of every one of your brothers?
You came! I guess I didn't really expect you to bother. My lab partner's such a pessimist. Was such a pessimist. It kind of rubbed off on me. He tried to make it through to me not too long ago. I guess he's a bit late for the party. You'll have to make a quick detour over the surface next, but be careful. If the cold doesn't kill you, well, let's just say I didn't pick the safest of locales for my last-ditch survival attempt. Okay, good news. Good news. Oh yeah, I think I've got a cure. Well, it's not really what you'd call a cure, but it should be enough to help you. I don't think I'm infected. I was careful, but I guess if you come rescue me and I'm looking at you like you're a roast chicken, I got it wrong. Sorry, that probably wasn't funny, was it? No, I suppose not. Well, I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, cures, rescues, saving the world, also cliché, also ridiculous. Do you really think you're doing the right thing? Your morality is just a lasting stain left behind by religion.
Hearing that Amabel may be able to cure him, Philip makes haste through the cold surface in order to reach the research wing, during which Clarence makes sure that Philip enjoys himself.
I'm not actually cold, you understand? I'm just trying to make you feel better. Very inefficient thing, your brain. Gives off lots of heat. Now, if I were you, which arguably I am, I'd be asking myself in a gormless sort of voice, did that bridge really collapse, or is my good friend Clarence just playing an hilarious jape? The answer, monkey man, is that I don't even know myself. One way to find out. Please, don't get us killed. This charade. He's plastered all over your mind like a garish wallpaper. He wanted to die and we wouldn't let him. You know, he's kind of humming up the place, if you know what I mean. Weird smell. Excuse me a minute. I'm gonna go give you a memory of him a good kicking.
As Philip enters the research wing, Eleanor finds herself fixing furnaces in order to proceed closer to the research wing. She is forced to enter the cold surface in search of spare parts. We now return to Philip and his best friend ever.
Okay, so, on the to-do list, find this damsel in distress, kill the bad guys, cure infection, save the world. Chances of success? Nil. Chances of survival? Well, you've got old Clarence on board. That should speak for itself. Chances of you buggering things up royally? Almost certain.
You know, you turning up here is probably the second best thing to happen to me since I've been down here. I'm reserving first place for when we get out. So, I'm not big-headed enough to think you came all the way here just to rescue me. I wasn't lying though, I think I've worked out how to disinfect you. But, you probably saw this coming. It's not quite as simple as all that. I had to engage the failsafe on the research rooms to seal myself in here, and that means we need a key card to get me out. One of the personnel, one of the infected ones, tried to get in with a card, but I don't know where it went. Look, I need you, and, well, if you do get me out, I'll give you the biggest hug of your life.
Christ! Go here, go there, fetch this, rub me a bath. Typical broad, atypical circumstances. You think fate has anything to do with this? Fate is merely the war cry of those too scared to think for themselves.
Hearing this, Philip quickly deduces that the keycard must be in this dark, scary, horrifying kennel. And he is right. Entering the kennels, Philip expects to be greeted by more of his friends from the mines. If only that was the case. Philip begins hearing strange noises coming from the walls, and discovers strange holes in the walls. He then finds several dogs, which appear to have been slaughtered by something far more vicious. Philip then discovers the reports, written by Garrett Quinn, detailing his observation of Wilbur Frisk, which culminates in him realizing the noises he is hearing are Frisk, who has made the kennels his lair. Additionally, he learns that it was Frisk who killed Dr. Roberts back in the mine. With the terrifying revelation in mind, Philip cautiously stays in the light to avoid Frisk, who watches him from the holes, waiting for an opportunity to strike from the darkness.
Whoa! Blatant corpses! You lot must be programmed to just search out danger and throw yourselves head first at it. I'm starting to become seriously desensitized here.
Philip discovers the keycard next to Garrett's body before making his escape from the kennels.
Key cards? I hate key cards. Whatever happened to good old bolts and padlocks? That's what I want to know.
While Philip was being hunted by Frisk, Eleanor manages to make her way to Amabel's location, just as the infection begins to overcome her. Eleanor stumbles into Amabel's safe house just as she begins to undergo physical metamorphosis. Amabel quickly flees from the room, leaving Eleanor locked inside.
A few more hours make her really appreciate this daring rescue attempt, or shall we go let her out now? Make the most of her while she's vulnerable, huh? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, eh?
Who are you?
After escaping Frisk, Philip quickly makes his way back to Amabel's room, unaware what has transpired. Upon entering her safe room, she is nowhere to be found.
Oh, looky here, more perilous, death-defying action, courtesy of the skinny English professor. Rambo, who are not? Try running towards him, screaming for a change. Good work, buddy. Give yourself a slap on the back with a crowbar, why don't you? Oh, one thing. Before you get too overwhelmed with glee, I know murder can be a lot of fun, but, didn't you quite like that broad? Hey, I think that's a piece of her skull on your shoe. Wait, don't tell me you really thought... I thought you knew I was pulling your leg. Oh, my best laid plans and all that. This is just terrible. You silly Billy. Come on, monkey. Take a joke.
Unknown to Philip, Clarence tricked him into believing he had killed Amabel, when in reality it was Eleanor. Clarence did this in hopes that Philip would give up on looking for a cure. Philip, however, becomes more determined to rid himself of Clarence, and quickly discovers a key laying on the ground that Amabel had dropped when she fled from the safe room. Using the key, Philip accesses her office and discovers a document about the cure Amabel had been working on as a result of Walton's research that was uploaded on the network.
Boring. Where's the games on this thing?
Turngate Virus Field Research. Cure? Amabel Swanson. If you're reading this, I guess you won't have to put up with me anymore. I know you will have tried your best, so I suppose thanks for giving me that at least. I thought I'd knock something up to help you, just in case I wasn't around to do it myself. Sorry, it's a bit formal, force of habit, I guess. Abstract. The purpose of this procedure is to formulate a cure that will stabilize the infection in the host and, if possible, reject it entirely. Experiments will have shown that injections covering as much as 50 grams of brain tissue can be reversed into an 80% success rate. In rare cases, the mixture will both destroy host and infection. Ah, the luxury of having no choice. Equipment: compound mixer, type ZX3V2, built from substance analyzer. Chemicals: acetone, a chemical base. Chlorine, a catalyst, sulfur, delivery packet, iodine, stabilizer, nitrogen, pH balancing, bromine, acidity regulator. Fairly important, without this it'd just be big ol' rat poison. Chemicals will automatically be stored in the order listed above. The most important addition is Substance 65. I've only had access to 12 and 67, which have proven to work with varying degrees of success. 65 has similar, although exaggerated, properties of 67, and was discovered just before infection, so it should be still quarantined within the chemical labs. Method: all chemicals should be combined with ZX3V2 and stored according to listed order at default settings. The storing will be automatic, and chemicals can be poured into the machine in any order. Substance is to be inserted into the container slot. It's vital that chemicals are mixed in the following order: chlorine, acetone, iodine, bromine, nitrogen, and finally sulfur. Note that due to an error during manufacturing, the lower button row got reversed numbering, making the rightmost start at 4 and increasing to the left. After successful mixture, the host can be injected with up to 3 milligrams, depending on the severity of the infection. Notes: all chemicals and equipment should be stored in the examination room. Predicted effects. Since the viral aspect of the host mind is likely to be a weakened or inflicted portion of the original host identity, the final state of the host is unclear. I guess I'll never give up on the fairy tale ending. It's also likely that some remnant of the viral capabilities may remain. Telepathy, memory, perhaps even the ability to communicate with the central nervous system. Seriously though, even if we didn't quite get our happily ever after, thanks for trying. It meant a lot to me.
You know you'd be awfully lonely without me, don't you? We're really not that bad together. Why don't we just call it quits, huh? If you stop trying to destroy me, I'll give you a shiny penny.
Learning of the necessary ingredients, Philip gets to work on finding Substance 65 from the chemical lab. He is pursued by several Turngets, all the while Clarence begs him to reconsider. Philip, however, has made up his mind. He will remove Clarence from his head, no matter the cost.
Look, just wait a minute. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. You don't have to go through with this. We can be friends. I don't want to die, monkey. Wait. Wait. Be careful. Something's wrong.
Philip eventually collects a sample of Substance 65 and proceeds to Walton's laboratory.
Please, I could learn to live with this. It might not be so bad. We'd be like roommates. We could take it in turns to drive. Just think about what you're doing.
Termination in 2 minutes.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you've got a way to destroy me. Wanna know what I'm thinking? I'm taking you with me. So, here we are, end of the line. No gold watch, no thanks for the laughs, Clarence. Nothing. Just a potion and a big fat screw you. Good times.
Managing to find the lab, despite Clarence's manipulation, Philip discovers the machine Walton had built and sets about activating it.
Please, Philip, let me live. You'll never do it. You don't have the balls. Go on, I dare you. You're some coward, four-limbed freak. You barely evolved out of the swamp. You haven't got it in you.
With Clarence seemingly destroyed, Philip rejoices as he leaves the room.
What a pretty body! Mine! 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 Yeah! Soon, there will be only me!
Philip manages to escape the lab, with Clarence in close pursuit, only to find himself surrounded by Turngats.
At the end, this one was more human than he would have believed. Mankind, for his actions, I am sorry. For his next misconduct, I am sorry. Do not hate me.
Clarence was deemed unworthy of rejoining the Turngate due to his growing humanity. As such, the Turngate eliminated him, for now. As for Philip, the Turngate has different plans.
Do not be alarmed. This space is in your mind, mankind. If you know yourself, you have nothing to fear. I, on the other hand, stand to lose everything. One came before mankind. Howard. He was not strong. Mankind as a whole is stronger even than I. But alone mankind is weak. Nonetheless, I do not underestimate you, mankind. I submit to you. However, I must, against my own desire, tempt your anger further. Mankind is not united as I am. Such a seething mass of individuals. Little wonder you all pull in different directions. All of me pulls in one direction. And for that reason alone have I bested those that disturbed me. I would test your reactions, mankind. I would test which direction you pull. And then you shall have your answers, and, if need be, your revenge.
Philip is put to the test with 3 trials that, if completed successfully, will earn him the answers he seeks from the Turngate itself. The 3 trials are elaborate and each serve a purpose. The first sees Philip in a cell that he can only escape by freeing a prisoner and trusting that prisoner to free him in return.
Hey, through here! Pass me that pipe, man. I can get us out. Come on, we haven't got much time. Okay, stay there. I'll be back. I owe you, friend. Good luck.
Working together is the only way. I act as one, though I am many. Thank you, mankind.
The second sees Philip being pursued by a lone Turngat that can be killed using traps. However, in order for Philip to pass, he must spare the Turngat, allowing it to break down the door that prevents him from moving forward.
is a necessary part of life, but not all deaths are necessary. End mankind.
The third sees Philip sacrificing himself on a fire trap, such that another can escape. These three trials showcase the Turngate's hive mind logic that sacrifices versus survival. After completing the three trials, the Turngate at last deems him worthy of its secrets.
I am relieved, mankind. In a being such as you, selfishness would be catastrophic. You have shown that you can be higher than your station, and for this reason, I shall reveal to you that which I revealed to Howard. I came here to this place many millions of years ago, before mankind was even upright. As eons came and went, mankind appeared around me and found names for me. Demon, Spirit, Turngate. We existed in harmony for much time. I lying dormant within what you refer to as the infected, and they benefiting from my knowledge and protection. But mankind changed, and I fled. So much power in mankind, so many questions, and yet without the intelligence to answer them. Mankind grows and tries to form a whole, a community, but somehow it becomes more dangerous, more angry, and with no direction for this anger, besides itself and its world. And then I was discovered. Mankind created this place to find me and silence me. They tore open my resting place and set about destroying me, and I, with no form of defense, was forced to attack. I am not the barbarian. I am not the invader. You are. But you, mankind, you are different. You have proved this, and now I ask for your mercy. Do not allow me to be destroyed by your kin, which they would surely do. They followed the Inuit here, and you followed them. There will be more. Will you send word? Will you destroy all trace of this place, so that no mankind will ever discover me again? Will you do this for me?
In an unexpected turn of events, the Turngate yields its power over Philip, and begs him to do exactly what his father had done, to erase all traces of this place, so that it could remain hidden. Philip, however, sees the cycle repeating itself, and makes his decision.
Agent 063, report. reporting in.
Gather your team. We have a job for you.
On my way.